Behind me is actually here in Ashkelon, where a rocket hit earlier today, right around noon. Myself and my photographer were on our way to Sderot, where we've been the last couple of weeks, as we've shown you the battle in northern Gaza. When the sirens went off, we pulled to the side of the road. Several rockets were intercepted, but one landed in this neighborhood. So the rocket landed just over here. I want to be careful where I'm walking. I'm going to walk through here. Excuse me, שלושה.
ג'ון הודי, כתב בכיר של רשת הכבלים האמריקנית ניוזמקס, הוא אחד מ-1,400 עיתונאים זרים שהגיעו לכאן מיד עם פרוץ המלחמה.
Over the last 7 days, from November 5th to the 12th, it issued 455 alerts.
הם עורכים שידורים חיים מדי יום, מסקרים את המלחמה בעזה מהשטח.
I have to stay low because there's the concern about sniper fire.
מדווחים על ירי הטילים לעבר ישראל.
There's another one. Wow, that's right here. Wow, that's right here.
ועוקבים אחרי כל התפתחות בנושא החטופים. מהדורות החדשות ברחבי העולם מקדישות זמן שידור חסר תקדים לסיקור המלחמה והשלכותיה.
Como les estamos contando, masivo ataque con cohetes a Israel desde la franja de Gaza.
My wife woke me up, who's Israeli, and she told me, John, there's been an attack. Israel's at war. I was among the first group of journalists to see the Hamas body cam, the raw video. I've been in to Niraz, Beri, Kifaza. I saw what they did. When the father takes his, I'm sorry. And it was very hard to report on that tape because it was just so difficult. But the moment the father takes his 2 young sons through the home and goes into the bomb shelter, and then Hamas throws the grenade in the shelter, not only do you see it, but you hear it. You hear the little boy screaming, Abba, Abba, Daddy, Daddy. I think about my children. I see the faces of my children. I'm sorry. I swore I would not get emotional in this interview.
How can you be objective when your wife, she is a Jew and Israeli?
Yes, it's personal to me because of my family's connections to Israel. But I'm here to do a job, and that is to cover this war objectively and fairly. Now, people can interpret that and make their judgment however they want. But I know my reporting, and I certainly stand by my reporting, and that of my network.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
בכל יום לחימה שחולף נסדקת התמיכה בישראל, ודעת הקהל הבינלאומית פונה עתת נגדנו.
Gaza, Gaza, don't you cry! Palestine will never die!
ההפגנות הפרו-פלסטיניות מציפות את העולם.
The protests against Israel, the rise of anti-Semitism, I think it's always been there, but this has brought so much to the surface, and it's reached that boiling point, and that's what we're seeing.
לכתבים הזרים שנמצאים בישראל יש השפעה רבה על עיצוב דעת הקהל העולמית. פגשנו 3 מהם, מאמריקה, גרמניה ודנמרק, במטרה להבין את השקפת עולמם. מה אתה חושב, יותם?
קודם כל אני עייף במוח ובגוף, ואני לא מרגיש טוב. לא חושב שאף אחד פה בארץ מרגיש טוב. When I saw the video that the IDF showed us, I was shaking while I was watching it. I felt goosebumps all over my body because the atrocities that you witness are worse than you can imagine. It is so extreme, and it's a 43-minute video. It's not like a 10-minute clip or a 2-minute clip. It just goes on and on and on, and eventually your body is just saying, stop. אז השם שלי ויותם קונפינו, אני בן 33, אני נולדתי בחדרה. אבא שלי ישראלי, האמא שלי היה דני, והיא היה נתנדבת בקיבוץ חצור, איפה אבא שלי. אחרי שאני נולדתי, אנחנו עברנו לדנמרק, כי אבא שלי היה בשלום הגליל, במלחמת לבנון. הוא רצה שאנחנו נעבור לדנמרק, אז אני גדלתי בדנמרק.
והנה באת למלחמה.
הנה באתי למלחמה. ב-2018 עשיתי עלייה. היום אני פרילנס, אבל 100%, כאילו, אז אני עובד גם עם תקשורת בדנמרק, אנגליה וארצות הברית.
ביום שלישי ערכה משטרת ישראל הקרנה מצמררת לכתבים הזרים. הפעם הם נחשפו לזוועות המיניות שביצעו מחבלי החמאס ב-7 באוקטובר.
I want to be able to say that I've seen footage and I've spoken to eyewitnesses myself so that I hope that they will trust me, at least for the people who watch what I'm doing. And there will be people who won't believe it. It doesn't matter how much you tell them, how detailed it is. They will dismiss it because the eyewitnesses are Israeli or Jewish. That's what I've been met with a lot. Eventually, the picture is so big, there's so much evidence that if you still deny that, you might as well deny the Holocaust. The evidence is overwhelming.
Do you think that as a Jew, you can be objective?
Absolutely, because I'm a journalist, first of all. That's my job. I absolutely think that I can cover this objectively. I don't think that anyone should be judged based on their ethnicity or their religion. I think you can be a Muslim and you can cover the conflict well.
בעולם ניכרת ירידה דרמטית בתמיכה בישראל. סקר רויטרס בארצות הברית מראה כי רק 32% מהאמריקנים תומכים בישראל במלחמה מול חמאס, לעומת 41% לפני חודש. 68% קוראים להפסקת אש מיידית. רק 31% תומכים בהספקת נשק לישראל. גם התקשורת העולמית נוטה להאשים את ישראל בפשעי מלחמה, כמו בדיווח של ה-BBC על הפצצת בית החולים בעזה, שהתבררה אחר כך כשיגור כושל של הג'יהאד האסלאמי.
You know, it is hard to see what else this could be, really, given the size of the explosion, other than an Israeli airstrike or several airstrikes.
There is always a but, because at the end of the day, people care about civilian lives. So when they hear that 11,000 Gazans have been killed, and they believe the numbers and they believe how many children were killed, for them, October 7th just doesn't justify doing that. For them, it's too much. There has to be now a ceasefire.
Once a little boy here asked me in the elevator in my hotel, hey, are you Israel or Palestine? And it's like a question like in a football match, and it shouldn't be like that, you know? I mean, people are very diverse. It's very clear to say, we just talked about it, Hamas is a terror organization, and you can have a clear stance on that. But like to talk about a whole group of people and, you know, sort of throw them all in one pot and say, hey, are you for or against them? That's what I really struggle with. Ja, dieses doch sehr konkrete Angebot wird natürlich den Druck auf Premierminister Netanyahu erhöhen. Wir sind hier im Zentrum von... My name is Adrian Karish. I work for two German private channels that are Pro7 and Sat1 mainly. So they're private, it's a private broadcaster, one of the biggest ones in Germany. Talking to a father whose two daughters and his wife are still missing. And like, he's my age, you know. You can totally relate to that. Like, it's somebody, you think it could be you, right? And you can only imagine the pain he goes through. Up until now, he doesn't know, like his 3- and 5-year-old kids, if they're well, where are they? He doesn't hear any information about them. That is very hard to understand the feelings he's probably going through. Was eine Befreiungsaktion dann erschweren würde. Also das sind sicherlich Aspekte, die... When it started, that war, there was almost 100% support for Israel and a lot of solidarity. Yes, that we had pictures of few people celebrating this terrible day, but I think that was a very small minority.
הירידה בתמיכה בישראל ניכרת במיוחד באירופה. ההפגנות הפרו-פלסטיניות הגדולות בלונדון, ברלין ופריז סוקרו בהרחבה. בגרמניה, סקר משרד החוץ מראה שרק 20% מהגרמנים אוהדים את ישראל, לעומת 48% שאינם אוהדים. בתוך כך, 50% מהגרמנים סבורים שההשוואה בין חמאס לנאצים במקומה.
We of course have a lot of people who are on the Israeli side, Jewish people, people with an Israeli background, as well as a lot of Palestinian immigrants living in Germany. And obviously they have very different points of view on this whole issue here. And more people are asking, is that reasonable self-defense? That is the big debate at the moment in Germany as well.
This particular screening was highly emotional. It started with just scenes of Hamas killing people, executing people. Eventually we got to the sexual assault part. We saw in Kibbutz Reim, the music festival, we saw 2 different women lying on the grass, naked from the waist down. One of them had her panties just ripped to the side. And I myself felt just rage. I felt like my jaw was strengthening because I was biting so hard. Because you're watching something that you cannot believe this has actually happened. And then we moved to the eyewitness, who's describing what she has seen with her own eyes. And she's describing how she saw a woman being raped by several Hamas terrorists, how they pulled her hair, how they tossed her from terrorist to terrorist, and they cut her breasts off. And eventually, at the very end, the guy who was raping her shot her in the head, and then he finished. So he continued to rape her after he shot her in the head. It scars me that first of all, people are able to do these kinds of things in the 21st century, but there are also people who refuse to believe it. Despite the overwhelming evidence, despite us journalists sitting there, I'm watching this only so I can tell people, once again, this happened.